first noticed the world of coaching through a friend of mine who's a sports psychologist. Maybe a Phil Mickelson has a putting coach and he's got a separate driving coach. But he's got a whole bunch of coaches, and why would he? Well, he's at the top of his game. Well, he wants to be better tomorrow, or at least as good as he was yesterday tomorrow. And coaching can make such a difference.
What drove me to coaching was that I wanted a deeper dive on what was right and what was wrong, or where there were opportunities in my life. I think when you agree to it and you undertake it, you're illustrating or sending out your vulnerability very clearly and explicitly, now to one other person, but the recognition that you have it and that you're willing to share it, I think actually is a very, very powerful first step to self-improvement.
We don't want to change because it's really hard to admit to ourselves that we're not in the right effectively, right? Through the things that you directed me to read, through our coaching, through my own thinking and so on, and others around me, I kind of came to a handful of realizations. One, control's a complete illusion. And understanding my own ego and what the dark side of fixing everything brings. Letting go of those things and saying to myself, man, I gotta work on me. I'm not gonna work on anything else but me.
I know from the work we've done together, I definitely understand why I am the way I am, and I understand why my partners act the way they do, make decisions, ask the types of questions, just the way they behave.
The coaching never scared me. I don't know, I think that it does with other entrepreneurs I talk about. It scares them. They think that they're losing a sense of themselves, and my experience is I found myself.
I just found that really, really fascinating. It was one of the first things we did, Keith, when we started working with you. And the world got a lot easier after that.
When I think about the word coach, I think about somebody who really wants people to develop their full potential. A coaching culture is a very supportive and empowering culture. And I think that is what every organization, if they don't strive for it, then they probably should. Because I think that's what creates, if you're a brand, that's what creates the magic in your brand.
The firms that have actually had the discipline to take the time to understand what culture is, and then take some very specific steps to develop it in the way that they think best fits the market opportunity, are the ones that have been the most successful.
I think for us, having a business coach who's outside of the industry has given us a real different perspective. Our business coach is very good at really finding what's driving us, and also if there are problems in the practice, what are the really driving factors that are causing that?
When we needed help to figure out the business, like Or said, we tried not to go to a dental business person or a dental consultant, because in my mind it's a kind of a cookie cutter approach. It's not really customized, and what our coach has helped us to do is learn how to make better decisions ourselves, not coaching us on what the decision is to make. Keith will never tell us what to do, but he'll help us figure out how to do it.
When my oldest daughter went to college, I apologized to her for putting so much on her as we were growing the company. And she said, "Mom, I am the way I am because of you. You inspire me. I want to be like you."
I think what you might have just said, that while you're out in the world fulfilling your mission, building a great company, you're actually being a great mom. And the people who count, the people whose evaluation of that counts, are actually giving you the feedback. Is it possible that you're a lot greater at these roles than you might have thought?
I don't know.
I was a participant in a process where I unraveled 15 years ago in a 20-ish year marriage, and I had to be apart from Richard for a few years while I figured myself out, and then had a village of people, and you were instrumental in helping us redefine ourselves and help us get back together.
My dad was an extremely tough taskmaster. He was a very intelligent head of pathology at the Toronto General Hospital. He was an extremely successful man and expected much of his sons and daughter. And I was driven by that, and that helped in my early life define what I expected of myself. Later, that led to me never seeing him honoring what I was achieving. So it didn't matter what I did. I couldn't get to a point where he would look in and say, hey, that's good. I started to work with Keith around this time, and I tried to understand why I was feeling so unfulfilled in this area. And what Keith was able to help me with and showed me was that I couldn't take my expectations for what my father would think of success and insist that he give that back to me. I could only try and honor him and tell him how I felt about him and let him know that. And then he could do anything he chose with that. And that was a great lesson that Keith managed to help me see, that it was good enough just to try, but not to have an expectation that he would react in a certain way. In fact, what I learned through that is expectations are just a down payment on resentment. That if you expect something from somebody and they don't deliver it, then that will lead to resentment. But what right do you have to expect that?
What are you pretending not to know?
Don't you love that question?
It's not my question, it comes from my coach.
I guess every person who is a teacher wants a model student, someone who takes ideas and embellishes them and finds ways to spread them. And so apart from Keith being my friend, when I think of Keith, I think of someone who is invested as making a difference as I am. And that's not true of everyone I work with.
We got people are crying, so we got where we needed to go.
Yeah.
Can we ask you some questions?
He's heartless, cold and heartless.
You can make me cry, it's not that hard.
As long as you make your next male clients cry, that's...
I will acknowledge more than once tears being how we started a meeting or maybe ended a meeting in terms of my coach, because it was very emotional. He was challenging me on things that hurt to talk about and hurt to deal with. But I can tell you I'm better off having dealt with them.
It's teamwork. It's having people in place and the right people in the right seats that you trust can do the job that you need them to do and want them to do. And sometimes we think that we can do it better. And I think what I've found is that when I think I can do it better, it's probably not the right person in the seat.